Yogiri Takatu is betrayed by his classmates because they think he is weak, but in reality, he is a god who conceals his power. Hello everyone, my name is Anime Titans. Today, we're diving into a brand new anime called My Instant Death. Ability is so overpowered, no one in this other world stands a chance against me, or in short, instant death. It's going to take me a while to pronounce the Japanese name. Today, we're analyzing the first episode of Instant Death. We'll directly compare the anime with the novel and see what they left out. Comparing the novel and the anime gives us a much deeper understanding of the instant death world. If you want to read the novel or the manga, you can do so via the link in the description. You can follow me on Instagram to stay up to date. Let's get it! In the first few minutes of the anime, we see a snippet of Yogiri's past. He is in a laboratory where a state of emergency has just been declared. You can hear loud sirens and gunfire, and in the midst of it all, we see Yogiri on a recording searching for his girlfriend Asaka. When he finds her, she is being threatened by someone with a weapon who says that if Yogiri tries anything, she will kill her. The next moment, Yogiri uses his ability, and the woman drops to the ground wordlessly. Asaka is confused and Yogiri is overjoyed to be back with his girlfriend. But it was all just a dream. He wakes up to a screaming Tomochika Danora on the bus, who tears him from his sleep. The scene is absurd. His classmates are dead on the floor and one is being pierced by something alive. Yogiri is confused and asks Danora what's going on, but she has no idea either and wonders how he can sleep calmly while his classmates are being killed. He then picks up a microphone that's randomly lying on the floor and throws it at the tail of the creature. The creature recoils in pain and it becomes clear that it is a real dragon that has just killed his classmate. The dragon dives at Yogiri, aiming to kill him. At that moment, Danora clings to him, and as he feels her soft breasts, he activates his ability. The next moment, the dragon lies dead next to the bus. Danora is full of questions, and Yogiri pulls out his game to pass the time until Danora calms down. In the novel, we learn a lot more about this situation. The class was actually on a school trip, and their destination was a ski resort in Nagano. The microphone that Yogiri threw at the dragon was used for karaoke, and when it hit the dragon's tail, it emitted a loud, shrill sound that was so disturbing that the dragon retreated for the moment. When the dragon then resumed its course towards the bus, Yogiri actually wanted to die. He wasn't particularly attached to his life, but when Danora's breasts touched him, a desire to protect her arose within him. We also learned that Yogiri doesn't really want to use his ability, but he ends up using it anyway to protect Danora. After the intro, Danora explains the whole situation to Yogiri, who still knows nothing. They were traveling on a bus through a tunnel, and when they came out of the tunnel, they found themselves in another world. The next moment, a woman gets on the bus, introducing herself as Sion, one of the sages of this world. The teacher who asks who the hell she is gets killed on the spot to demonstrate her power, making everyone shudder with fear. Sion tells the students to just be quiet and listen to her, but what she says next is supposed to make them laugh. She claims her power level is 530,000 and no one really knows what she means by that. As a consequence, she kills the bus driver because no one laughed. Clearly, she should never become a stand-up comedian. Sion then explains the situation to everyone. They have been brought into this world by her. This world is ruled by sages, and occasionally they need new sages, and that's where the students come into play. To train the students to become sages, they receive a power called Gift from her. Most of the class starts to glow, except for Danora and our protagonist, which means they don't receive any powers. Those who are glowing can view their stats as if in a game. Sion then says that not everyone can become a sage, responding to Danora's question about why she isn't glowing. She then gives the students the mission to become sages within a month. The mission will start in an hour, after which she leaves the bus. After she killed the teacher in the novel, she told everyone to suppress their feelings and say nothing. That's why the reactions were so dull when the bus driver was killed next. Normally, they all should be screaming and wetting themselves in fear, but Sion has forbidden even that. Sion then tells the students that they might think she is a monster, but she explains that this is how the world they are in operates. It is a cold world where darkness is just a step away. Sion also explains in the novel that the glowing of the students indicates those who have received powers and are strong, but the intensity and type of glow reveal who is stronger and who is weaker. To produce a sage, they must form a clan, and within a maximum of 1 month, they should choose a sage from their group. Danora then asks what happens if they fail. Sion responds that they will end up as slave livestock from whom magic will be extracted. Moving forward in the anime, the students then receive their first mission. The mission is to travel from the current dragon territory to a city in the north without being eaten by the dragon. They are safe inside the bus for an hour thanks to a barrier, but they need to come up with a good plan for reaching the city. If they act recklessly, they will simply be devoured by the dragon. The students are confused and discuss the mission among themselves. Suguru Yazaki then brings calm to the group. Suguru holds the rank of a general, and his ability is to unite a large group behind a single cause. he suggests that everyone write down their powers on a piece of paper. They then discuss the plan without the students who have no powers, and after the meeting, they leave the bus. It turns out they have all decided to use the students without powers as bait to lure the dragon. Danora cannot believe that her friend Mikochi has agreed to this, but Suguru assures her that she has. In general, all the classmates have decided to simply leave those without powers to die. It's clear that this decision was difficult for Suguru, but it is still shocking that he would do this to his longtime classmates. However, Asuha Koriyama seems to enjoy the whole situation. She enchants everyone so that they appear much more attractive than they are to attract the dragon. They then leave the bus and lock the door so that those inside cannot escape, and thus the dragon comes and kills everyone in the bus. All of this happens while Yogiri is asleep. In the novel, we learn that Suguru was also one of the class leaders in their old world and generally always got good grades and was athletic. By writing down their skills, they discovered that there is someone who can search for enemies, thus finding out that there is only one dragon nearby. Further in the anime, Danora and Yogiri get off the bus, and Danora immediately spots 3 classmates flying towards them. Yogiri offers to kill them, which surprises and scares Danora, but Yogiri argues that these are the classmates who left them to die. The 3 arrive. They are Higashida, Fukuhara, and Hanakawa. These 3 then discuss in front of them how they intend to make Danora their personal slave. They brazenly discuss what they want to do with her because she is their wet dream. To demonstrate his power, Higashida fires a fireball that cleanly melts away half of the bus and damages the mountain behind it. The only one unimpressed is Yogiri. To explain his ability, without hesitation, he kills Higashida and then Fukuhara by simply saying "die," all to convince Hanakawa that this is no joke. Initially, Hanakawa thought Yogiri was bluffing and even mocked him for saying "die." However, when he tried to heal his friends and nothing happened, he realized the gravity of the situation. He even attempted a stealthy attack on Yogiri, but it was futile. Not only can Yogiri kill with a single command, but he also senses when someone harbors murderous intentions. Once Hanakawa fully grasped the seriousness of his situation, he became obedient and answered all questions. Yogiri asked why they were so adept with their powers. Hanakawa explained that he and his now deceased friends had previously been isekai'd to this world by the kingdom of Iman. Their mission was to defeat the local demon king. They had spent a year in this world, while only a few hours had passed in the main world. After getting all the information, Yogiri intended to kill him to avoid any trouble, but Hanakawa begged for his life and suggested he become their slave using a slave collar. That's exactly what happened. As he put on the collar, he only had to look at the person he intended as his master, and naturally, he looked at Danora. She found this so repulsive that she delegated the rights to Yogiri, which he found less than pleasing. Yogiri then sent him into the forest where the monsters are, allowing him to leave all his belongings behind. Danora, quite impressed and somewhat infatuated, asked Yogiri why he was doing all this, especially since they had never even spoken a word to each other in their old world. After a brief reflection, Yogiri replied that it was because when she clung to him, her breasts were soft, and just like that, Danora's infatuation faded. In the novel, Yogiri initially refused to believe they were in another world, thinking it was some rich man's stupid prank, all done with CGI. However, Danora did everything to convince him. In the distance, they could see a flying UFO in the novel, lifting off and carrying stones in its gravitational field, and they also saw gigantic castle walls. That was enough to convince him that they had indeed been isekai'd. Since Yogiri had not received a gift and others could likely see their stats, he decided it was best not to pretend he had received one, as doing so could cause problems in the future. While questioning Hanakawa, Yogiri asked even more questions. From Hanakawa, we learn that the classmates have already completed their first mission and are now on their way to the capital to accomplish a great deed worthy of a sage. This deed must be recognized by the public, such as defeating a monster that has been troubling everyone. Danora then asks why the 3 fled from the dragon even though they already had their powers. If they could defeat a demon king in their previous life, why didn't they just defeat the dragon for everyone? It would have been a perfect opportunity to show off. Hanakawa responds that they certainly could have defeated the dragon but didn't out of fear of the sages. Danora couldn't perceive it, but those who could capture their stats saw that their level was at 100 million and it was increasing every second. Out of fear of the sages, they did exactly as they were told, which was to head to the nearest city. Since Yogiri and Danora couldn't grasp what these levels meant, Hanakawa explained that, for example, Higashida's level is 1000 and his own is 99. Danora found it ridiculous that Hanakawa was so weak in comparison. However, Hanakawa defended himself by explaining that humans can only reach up to a maximum level of 99. To ascend further, they need a special ability or a suitable class that can elevate their level. We also learned that the forest they mention is ruled by the Beast King, a place where humans have no control. In the last scene of the anime, we see Yuichi, a subordinate of Sion, giving her a status report on the future sages. He reports that the students have successfully completed their first mission. Moreover, the dragon was mysteriously defeated, resulting in the deaths of 4 students, including 2 S-rank fighters. Yuichi theorizes worryingly that this might involve instant death magic, but Sion does not agree and merely says there is no cause for concern. He should just continue to observe the students, and with that, the conversation ends. In the novel, we learn much more. Yuichi also reports on aggressors that we don't see in the anime. Santaru, a sage, has managed to expel an immigrant from this world named Darkness. However, the area where they fought, called Altana, was blown up during the battle and turned into a desert. The monster is gone for now, but Santaro thinks it will not return. Continuing Yuichi's report, Lion, another character unknown at that time, has defeated the Wolf King, and Yumehisa has died fighting the hedgehogs, unfortunately the second death against the hedgehogs. Frustrated, Yuichi asks if they can seek help from the Great Sage. However, Sion declines because her grandfather is too busy. Yuichi could only shake his head in thought because the Great Sage is not really Sion's grandfather but only in name. Being the granddaughter of the Great Sage is thus merely a title that one can acquire. Sion continued in her response, stating that her grandfather was busy flirting with his slave girls. Yuichi had already suspected that they could not rely on the grandfather's help and assembled a team to take care of the hedgehogs. The only thing they really knew about the hedgehogs was their outward appearance. They seemed roughly human-shaped, slender, and completely covered in lustrous black metal. Based on their behavior, it was assumed to be some sort of machine, something like blades or needles fired out from its joints, so they had come to be referred to as the hedgehogs. Other enemies they fought were the angels, who seemed to be searching for something in this world. Initially, there were fewer angels, appearing in places like Zabora and Ent, but these were defeated by Yoshifumi and Shirou, 2 characters who have not yet appeared. However, over time, more angels appeared, leading them to believe that the angels are gradually finding what they are looking for. What exactly they are searching for is unknown. The Great Sage might know but is too busy to tell his subordinates. When discussing the students, some details were omitted, such as the fact that there were actually 5 S-rank fighters among the students. 2 of them have died, one of them, Hanakawa, has run into the forest, and 2 more are still unnoticed within the student ranks. Additionally, we learn more about the level system of the sages, which ranges from S to C rank. S ranks are those who have been in this world before. They already had the gift installed and possess a significant amount of strength. They are the most promising candidates to become sages. A ranks. Those who possess particularly powerful abilities. Depending on their development, they could potentially surpass the S-rank candidates someday. B ranks. Those who possess only average skills, their abilities not exceeding that of the natives. There is still a small possibility of some sort of growth, however faint. C ranks. Those who possess the lowest level of skills, in most cases weaker than even the natives. In extremely rare cases capable of growth, those who do grow often surpass the progress of the A and B rank candidates. Yuichi is also worried about instant death magic. He's not entirely sure who among them is using this magic, so he wants to provisionally declare both of them as C level. However, they are not too concerned about the user of instant death magic because it is quite inefficient. Firstly, it requires an enormous amount of magical power to use, and secondly, it can only be used against weaker opponents. Additionally, there are measures in place to block this ability. In the long history of this world, instant death magic is very well known, yet hardly anyone uses it precisely for these reasons. Yet they still wonder how they can use this magic without powers. Since the Japan from which they come had no wizards at the time, it implies that Sion and Yuichi also originally came from Japan. That's it for the anime versus novel comparison. If you want to read the novel or the manga, you can purchase it through my link in the description. This supports the channel and allows me to undertake larger projects. If you want to know what happens next, please share the video and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.